In the year 3051, humans were no longer the rulers of Earth or even their own destiny. They were part of a huge galactic union ruled by powerful alien races. These aliens were stronger, faster, and had better technology. Humans were seen as the weakest species in the galaxy. They worked as cleaners, mechanics, or simple operators on alien ships. They were not soldiers, not leaders, not respected. They were laughed at, pushed around, and forgotten. Kale was one of them, a young human working on an alien battleship called Varnock Prime. It was a massive warship controlled by the Threx Empire, a proud and powerful alien species. Kale's job was to fix wires, clean fuel lines, and stay out of the way. Most days, the aliens didn't even look at him, but when they did, it was never kind. Garzal, a tall and muscular Threx warrior, hated humans the most. He called them bone bags and skin toys every time Kale walked past. Garzal would say something cruel. "Hey human, try not to break a finger today. Are you sure you're not just a soft bag of air?" Kale never answered. He just kept his head down and worked. But deep inside, Kale was not weak. He remembered stories his grandfather told him. Stories of old Earth warriors, of heroes who fought with honor. He believed that humans once had power, that something had been taken away or hidden. He read old data files, trained his body in secret. He waited, hoping for a chance to prove himself. That chance came during a strange mission. The Varnock Prime was sent to a dark part of space known as the Junk Zone. It was full of broken ships, war wreckage, and floating metal from battles long ago. The Threx officers laughed. "A trash job for trash species," one of them said. But Kale's heart beat faster. He had read about this area. There were rumors that an ancient human warship was lost in this zone during the First Galactic War. No one had found it since, as the ship moved deeper into the zone. Scanners picked up a strange signal, a human-style energy pattern, weak but still alive. The captain didn't care. But Kale begged to check it out. "Please, I know it's old tech. I can understand it." The captain laughed. "Fine, if you die, at least we'll save oxygen." So Kale was sent with a small scout team, mostly robots, to explore the wreck. The ship they found was huge, old, rusty, and floating dead in space. Its name was barely visible, the Valor. Kale stepped inside, his boots echoing in the silence. Dust floated like mist. Lights blinked slowly on the walls, like the ship was trying to wake up. The robots scanned the area but found nothing special, just empty halls, broken weapons, and human bones. But Kale kept going. His instincts told him there was more. He reached a sealed door, different from the others. It had strange symbols, not alien, but human, very old human. He placed his hand on a panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door made a soft sound and opened. Inside was a chamber, dark and quiet. In the center stood a figure, tall and shining. It was armor, not a suit, not clothing, but a machine shaped like a warrior. The metal was black with glowing blue lines. It looked like it had been waiting. Kale stepped closer. The armor hummed softly. A light scanned him from head to toe. Then, a voice filled the chamber, deep and calm. "Human recognized," it said. "Genetic match confirmed. Armor protocol initiating." Kale's eyes widened. He felt a warm energy around him, pulling him toward the armor. The robots behind him shut down suddenly, as if the armor didn't want them there. He reached out his hand, and the armor responded. Pieces began to move, open, and reshape. It was calling him. It was made for him. Far above, on the Varnock Prime. Garzal waited and laughed. "That little human probably tripped over a chair," he said. He had no idea what Kale had just found, or what was about to awaken. The chamber was quiet, but it felt alive. The walls pulsed with light, like the ship had a heartbeat. Kale stood frozen, his hand still raised toward the ancient armor. It didn't feel like metal. It felt like it was watching him back. A low hum filled the room. The armor's chest glowed. and its faceplate opened slowly. Steam hissed out, and blue sparks danced in the air. Kale took a step back. His heart was racing, but something deep inside told him not to run. Human spirit. Detected, the voice said again. Warbound protocol unlocked. The armor's pieces floated off the stand. One by one, they moved around Kale, scanning him, studying him. It was like they were remembering something old, something buried. The first piece, a black gauntlet, clicked onto his right hand. It felt warm, like it knew him. Then the chest. Plate, boots, and helmet hovered near him, waiting. Kale reached out, and the pieces snapped into place. Not like clothes, but like a second skin, strong, silent, and powerful. Images flashed in his mind, not dreams, memories. He saw warriors, human warriors, marching into battle with glowing armor. They fought side by side against alien armies. They were not weak, they were feared, respected. Then came fire, betrayal, silence, and the armor, locked away, waiting for the right one to return. Kale gasped, pulling away from the visions. His hands were shaking, but he felt no fear. He felt alive. The armor had accepted him, not just his body, but his pain, his will, his fire. Suddenly, red lights flashed in the hallway. The robots had restarted. But something was wrong. Their eyes glowed red, not normal protocol. They raised weapons and moved toward Kale. Hostile command detected, the armor whispered into his ear. Defense mode ready. Before Kale could think, his arm moved on its own. A glowing shield formed in front of him, and a beam of light burst from his other hand. The first robot exploded instantly. The others fired. But the armor moved like it had done this 1,000 times before. Kale dodged, blocked, and countered. In less than a minute, it was over. Sparks flew from broken machines. Kale stood in the middle, his chest rising and falling. He hadn't trained for this, but the armor had, and now they were one back on the Varnok Prime. Darzul was watching the video feed. At first, he laughed when he saw Kale walking into the ruins. But then, his smile faded. He watched Kale fight the security bots. Like a ghost from a legend. What is that armor? He whispered. The Threx officers gathered around the screen. Silent, confused, and suddenly afraid, one officer turned. That ship, it's from the First Galactic War. No human tech should have survived, said another. But Garzal's eyes narrowed. It didn't just survive, he growled. It chose him, down below. Kale walked through the halls of the Valor. Doors opened on their own. Lights flickered as he passed. The ship was waking up, piece by piece, system by system, and the armor, it wasn't finished yet. It spoke again, but this time the voice was different. Not just a machine, but something older. Welcome, Warden, it said. You carry the will of the last Earth Legion. Kale didn't understand it all. But he knew this. He was no longer just a maintenance worker. He was something more, something. The galaxy had forgotten, but the galaxy was about to remember. The screen above the main deck of the Valor lit up. A star map appeared. 5 red dots blinked slowly, scattered across distant parts of space. One was already glowing blue. The armor he now wore. 4 more remained. Kale stared at them. If there were others like this armor, if other warriors had been chosen, then this wasn't just a battle. It was the beginning of a return of the true human legacy. And the first war had just begun. The ship was silent when Kale returned. Not a single alien met him at the docking gate. No laughter, no insults, not even a guard. It was strange, too quiet. He felt the armor tighten slightly, as if warning him. Kale had shut off most of the armor's glow before stepping back into Varnok Prime. He didn't want them to know yet. Not until he understood what the armor could really do. Not until he decided what kind of war he was walking into. As he stepped into the metal corridor, his boots echoed softly. Familiar paths now felt cold. Empty food trays lay scattered, doors slightly open. Something was off. It wasn't just silence, it was tension. Then the voice came deep, booming, and filled with venom. Human, said Garzel. "Drop your weapons and kneel, Kale." Turned slowly. Garzel stood with 5 Threx warriors, all armed, all ready, behind them. 4 shields blocked every exit. Kale was trapped. "You were never supposed to return," Garza said, stepping forward. "We sent you to die in that junk, to prove your weakness. But now," he growled, "you come back glowing with stolen tech." "It's not stolen," Kale replied calmly. "It chose me." Garzal laughed. A loud and mocking sound. "The armor chose you?" He sneered. "That armor is ancient, human-made trash. You don't deserve to wear it." "I didn't come to fight," Kale said, but the armor's lights began to hum. Garzel raised his plasma blade. "You don't get to choose." The first warrior lunged. In a flash. Kale moved, not with thought, but instinct. The armor read his fear and turned it into speed. He spun, blocked the blade with a glowing shield, and knocked the alien into the wall. The others charged, weapons drawn, but Kale was no longer just Kale. He was the echo of Earth's forgotten past, a past built on strength, precision, and fury. His fists glowed with energy as he slammed into the next warrior. The armor launched a shockwave, throwing 2 Threx across the hallway. One tried to grab him from behind, but a sharp blade extended from his forearm, swift and silent. Within seconds, only Garzel remained. He stood frozen, eyes wide. You killed them," he said. "They were trained fighters." "I didn't want to," Kale replied, stepping closer. "But you gave me no choice." Garzel raised his hands, backing away. "You're a threat to the Union now," he hissed. "They'll come for you." Cal stopped. He looked into Garzal's eyes. "They already came," he whispered, "and they left me behind." The armor's systems detected movement. A hidden drone watching the fight. Someone had been recording. Someone wanted this to happen. The voice in Kale's ear returned. "Surveillance detected. Broadcasting feed." "What?" Kale asked aloud, and then he saw it. Screens on the ship's walls began to flicker. The fight, the armor, everything was being shown, not just on the Varnok Prime, but across every ship linked to the Threx communication system. The galaxy was watching, from mining ships to spaceports. Aliens watched in silence as a human destroyed elite Threx guards. Some laughed in disbelief. Others stared in silence. Some humans watching wept. They had never seen someone fight for them like this. On a station far from Varnok Prime, a human girl whispered to her father, "Who is he?" The father, old and tired, stood tall for the first time in years. "He is what we used to be," he said, "and what we must become again." Back on the ship, Garzel crawled away, humiliated. Kale stood alone, but not afraid. He knew now. This wasn't just about armor or revenge. This was a message. A first strike, not of war, but of memory. A reminder that humanity was never weak, just silent for too long, and now their voice was back, louder than ever. Kale sat alone inside the Valor, the ancient human warship now slowly coming back to life. The lights on the walls glowed dimly, like the ship was breathing again. The armor on his body no longer felt like a suit. It felt like a part of him, a memory wrapped in metal. But questions burned in his mind. Why was this armor hidden? Why did aliens fear it? Why did the galaxy forget the strength of humans? He walked through the silent halls of the ship, past shattered control panels and broken chairs. Everything was frozen in time. It was like stepping into a graveyard. But the ship had secrets, and he was ready to uncover them. He reached the bridge. Dust floated in the air, caught in the light of flickering screens. One console blinked softly. A message was waiting. Hidden for over 300 years. Kale placed his hand on the panel. The armor pulsed with light, and the screen came alive. A hologram appeared. A human woman in black armor. Eyes sharp, voice calm. "Captain Ira Tan, Earth Defense Legion." She said, "If you're seeing this, you're a human, and you're wearing the armor." Kale listened closely, his heart pounding. 3 centuries ago, the captain said, We were the shield of Earth, the sword of the solar system. We fought to protect humans across the stars. But the Galactic Union feared us. She looked down, her voice turning cold. They saw our growth, our courage, our spirit, and they called it dangerous. So they turned their allies against us. They erased our records, burned our history, called us weak and broken. They made the galaxy forget what we were. The hologram showed war, not of humans invading, but of humans defending. Ships falling in flames, soldiers fighting against impossible odds. The armor was humanity's last hope, and it was buried here so it wouldn't fall into alien hands. One day, the captain said, someone like you would return. Someone the armor would choose. When that day comes, remember this. You are not weak. You are the echo of what they feared most. You are the forgotten truth. The hologram faded. And silence returned, but inside Kale, something had changed. His blood burned not with anger, but with purpose. The lies were deeper than he ever imagined. It wasn't just alien pride. It was a plan to silence humanity forever. The armor whispered again, would you like to access the restricted archive? Yes, Kale said quietly. A new file opened. Coordinates blinked onto the screen. Locations of 4 other warships like the Valor. Each carried armor, each carried history. If he found them, he could unlock the full story, and maybe the full power, but the message was cut off suddenly. A signal was trying to enter the ship. A voice scrambled and weak. Kale, if you hear this, they're coming. The Union knows. Trust no one. Then silence, the armor warned. Him, incoming ship detected. Kale looked out the viewport. A small vessel was approaching fast. No ID. No flags, no colors, stealth ship, Union agents, maybe worse. He didn't wait. He rushed through the halls of the Valor, activating defense systems as he went. The ship wasn't fully functional, but it could still defend itself. As the doors locked and turrets prepared, Kale stood in the center of the war room. He wasn't running anymore. He wasn't hiding. If the Union feared the truth, then he would give it to them. One strike at a time. One story at a time, until every human in the galaxy remembered, and every alien who called them weak would see the truth. The forgotten were waking up, and they were angry. They thought he vanished. They thought he was destroyed. The Threx official said the armor malfunctioned. The Galactic Union announced he died in a wreck. No one questioned it. Just a human after all. But in the deep corners of the galaxy, rumors spread. They spoke of a glowing figure on forgotten planets. A human wearing ancient armor, a ghost from the past, a spark in the darkness. That spark was Kale. But he was no longer just a survivor. He had become a rebel, a shadow, a whisper that moved from world to world. He hid in abandoned outposts, refugee zones, broken mining colonies, places where the Union didn't look, where humans were forgotten, starving, and afraid. He showed them the truth, the real history of Earth's warriors. He shared the hologram of Captain Ira Tan. He played it on cracked walls, broken screens, and even on the side of cargo ships. Men cried, women stood tall, children asked if the warrior in the armor was real. Kale never said yes. He only raised his hand and let the armor light up. That was enough. Hope returned. One night, while hiding in the ruins of a mining moon, he met her, a young woman, quiet, but sharp-eyed. She watched his message from behind the crowd, then approached him alone. I know where the second armor is, she whispered. Kale didn't speak. He just listened. My name is Mira, she said. My father was a vault keeper. The Union killed him. But before they did, he told me a secret. She showed him a piece of a broken datapad. It held old Earth code, not seen for hundreds of years. Hidden within it were coordinates. Not on a planet, but inside an asteroid field called the Screaming Veil. No ship entered the veil and came back. Wrecks filled its maze, torn by wild gravity and magnetic storms. But if the armor was really there, Kale had to go, and Mira insisted. She was coming, together, They left in silence. No announcements, no messages. Just shadows moving through space. As they traveled, more humans joined them. Old pilots, young mechanics, orphaned traders, people who had lost everything, now following something. Someone, a rebel who didn't raise a flag, but raised a memory. They reached the veil. And it was as deadly as the stories said. Storms screamed like ghosts, pulling metal apart. Ships floated in pieces, half melted and dead. But Mira found a path. Her father's map was not just a myth. It led them to a hidden cave within an asteroid, covered by ancient Earth tech, invisible. To Union scans inside, the second warship waited, smaller than the Valor, but still alive inside it. Another armor, red and gold, its lights dim, but its presence strong. Kale didn't touch it. He turned to Mira. "It called your father, not me," he said. Mira stepped forward, heart pounding. The armor scanned her, paused, and then accepted. One piece at a time it wrapped around her. She cried silently. Not from pain, but from pride. Her father's legacy lived on through her. Kale and Mira stood side by side. Two armors, two warriors. But this was just the beginning. The Galactic Union noticed the silence in the veil. They sent ships to investigate. They found only wreckage and a symbol carved into a rock. The symbol of Earth's ancient legion. A mark that had not been seen in 300 years. A cross. The stars, humans began to rise. They whispered the rebel's name. They painted his mark on walls. They stood up to alien officers. For the first time in generations, they felt something powerful. Not rage, not revenge, but pride. The armor had returned, and so had the will to fight. Kale didn't want to lead an army. He never planned to start a revolution. But now he was no longer alone. The forgotten were remembering, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans weren't just survivors, they were warriors waiting to wake up. The galaxy was quiet, but beneath that silence, something dangerous was growing. Not a weapon, not a fleet, but belief. Kale had become more than a rebel, more than a man in armor. He was a signal, a symbol of what was lost and what could return. From mining moons to slave stations, humans were waking up. They passed secret messages, scratched symbols into walls. They wore black bands with ancient Earth markings. They didn't ask for war, but they were ready if it came, and it came. The first attack was not with lasers, not with bombs, but with a story. Kale and Mira entered a Union communication satellite, deep in Zone 8, far from any major fleet. They didn't destroy it. They hijacked it. They uploaded the hologram of Captain Ira Tan. Her voice played across Union space. On news screens, cargo docks, alien battle stations, and even prison blocks. 300 years ago, they erased. "US," she said, "but you cannot erase spirit. We were warriors once, and now we return." The reaction was chaos. Alien leaders screamed, demanded the feed be shut down. But the message kept playing, bouncing from system to system. Everywhere it landed, humans watched. Some cried, some stood, some simply whispered one word. Kale, on the frozen planet of Durek, a young human boy picked up a stick. He drew the Earth Legion symbol in the snow. His alien teacher slapped it away. But the boy didn't stop. On a transport ship, an old human engineer refused to bow to his Threx captain. "I remember now," he said. "You're not better than me." The Union saw the shift, not in weapons, but in hearts, and they panicked. They sent bounty hunters. They offered rewards for Kale's head. They painted him as a terrorist, a traitor, a liar. But the more they shouted, the more the galaxy listened to him instead. And then, Kale struck again, not with words. This time with action. Mira found a Union black site hidden in the crust of a dead planet. It was where they kept political prisoners, mostly humans, people who had questioned too much, spoken too loudly, people the Union wanted erased. Kale and Mira didn't just break into the prison, they broke it open. Their armors cut through walls like paper. Security bots fell within minutes, but they didn't kill the guards. They let them live, and that was the message. Humans are not here for revenge, Kale said over the prison speakers. We are here for truth. We will not become what they claimed we were. They freed over 200 prisoners, doctors, writers, teachers, soldiers. Some were too weak to stand. Some cried in Kale's arms. One woman whispered, I thought no one would remember us. Kale replied, we remember everything. The Union couldn't hide it. Even alien civilians started questioning. Why were these people locked away? Why did humans need to be erased? And the most dangerous question of all, what if they were never weak? Meanwhile, on a Threx war council, chaos erupted. High commanders argued. Some said crush the humans with force. Others warned, if we do that, we'll make him a legend. One alien officer stood in the shadows, listening. He didn't speak, but his eyes glowed faint blue, and on his wrist, a forgotten symbol of Earth's legion. He was not Threx, not entirely. He was something else, a half-human, a ghost of a bloodline hidden from both worlds. And he had just heard his name for the first time in years. Kale, he whispered. They found the second armor. The war had begun, not with fire, but with memory, not with orders, but with truth. And as Kale stood watching prisoners escape into freedom, he knew this was only the beginning. 4 armors remained, 4 more legacies waiting to rise. And deep in the black stars, the Union was preparing for its own answer, not peace, but something darker, something old, a weapon built to kill the Earth Legion and anyone who dared to wear their name. The stars above Earth were quiet, but the galaxy was screaming. Kale and Mira had awakened something the Union could not control. Not an army, but a memory, across systems. Humans no longer walked with heads down. They spoke with pride, stood without fear. They remembered who they were, and they had Kale to thank. But the Union was not done. From the dark void beyond Sector 19, they brought out their final answer. An ancient weapon, not a machine, but a living thing, created long ago to kill Earth's elite warriors, locked away after the First War. And now, released again, its name was the Nullborn, a creature wrapped in shadow, immune to human tech. It could shut down armor with a single pulse. It was not sent to fight, it was sent to erase. Kale saw its approach from the deck of the Valor. Its ship looked like a broken star, black spikes in bleeding light. He turned to Mira, her golden red armor glowing beside him. We can't beat it with strength, she said. Kale nodded. Then we'll beat it with something else. They broadcast a final message, one last signal to every human system. Not a call to arms, but a call to remember. If you can hear this, Kale said, then you are not forgotten. You are not weak. You are what they fear, because you are free. And then the Valor jumped into the black strait, into the path of the Nullborn. The battle was chaos. The Union had sent entire fleets with the creature, drones, warships, elite squads, everything. But Kale's followers had grown. They came in old ships, mining haulers, hacked freighters, and barely working cruisers. But each had one thing the Union never understood: purpose. The Nullborn struck first. Its wave shut down half of Kale's fleet in seconds. Mira's armor flickered, warning signs glowing red. We can't get close, she said. We don't need to, Kale replied. We just need to reach the core. They launched from the Valor, diving toward the monster ship. Lasers screamed, shields cracked. Mira was hit, her armor dented but not broken. They reached the core ship, a twisted maze of metal and smoke. Inside it felt cold, like something alive was watching them. Then it spoke. You are the last echo. The Nullborn said, you will be forgotten. No. Kale replied, you already tried that. They fought inside the ship, not just with weapons, but with memories. The armor began showing past battles, voices of old warriors. It connected to something deep inside the creature, a hidden guilt, a piece of humanity still trapped in its heart. Then, the twist came. Mira froze, her armor shutting down. Kale turned and saw the traitor. It was the half-human officer, the one who watched from the shadows. He was here all along, feeding the Union the coordinates. "I'm not your enemy," he said. "I wanted to see if you were worthy. You passed." He dropped a small crystal, the final key. It lit up, and Mira's armor roared back to life. The Nullborn screamed, not in pain, but in fear. Kale stepped forward. "This ends now." The two armors combined their energy. A final strike, one fueled not by hate, but by honor. A pulse blasted through the creature, not killing it, but freeing it. The darkness faded, the Nullborn fell. Silent, then spoke one last time. "Thank you." The battle ended. Union fleets retreated. The truth had won, not just through strength, but through sacrifice. Kale stood on the steps of Earth's first space academy, a place rebuilt from ashes. Humans cheered, not for victory, but for return. He looked to Mira, to the sky, and to the stars beyond. "We were mocked," he said. "We were broken. But now we remember." And the galaxy listened, because the war was never about armor. It was about honor, and that honor was human.